Plants. The green frontier. These are the discussions of the podcast Horticult. Its continuing mission: to talk about strange new cultivars, to seek out new flowers and plant them, to boldly garden like no one has before. What's up, everybody? This is Blaine for the Horticult. Horticult? That doesn't sound right. This is episode 50. Living Christmas Tree. So we just go over the pros and cons of the different types of Christmas trees that you can get, from artificial, cut trees, and living trees. I think that's a concept that maybe some people are not very aware of, and we want to kind of spread that love. Lesser maintenance is the artificial tree, and it kind of gets more maintenance as you go up. Something that Brad brings up, that it's anti-desiccant, and it's supposed to help maintain the moisture in your living Christmas tree. You probably do this with your cut tree as well. And then we talk about the biodiversity a little bit, that you get to plant that tree in your yard after you're done. We have some tips and tricks and stuff like that that you can apply to your living Christmas tree. And with that, let's get it on. Hello, this is Beef Lane.
And this is B-Rad.
And we are the Horticult. Thanks, Podlings, for tuning in and coming along for the ride. This episode, we're going to review Christmas trees, living Christmas trees to be specific, but we're going to go over what is a living Christmas tree. This is an alternative to having a standard cut Christmas tree or having a fake Christmas tree. How else to say that? Artificial.
Yeah,
there you go. That sounds a little bit more fair.
That's fake.
That's a fake tree, man. An artificial tree. Pros and cons of each one. But we're going to start with the artificial tree first. So benefit, it's a one-time cost.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't ever change. It looks the same every year. You don't have to tend it. You don't have to water it. Negative is the newer ones can be getting a little bit more expensive. There is no smell. One of the things that I love about a Christmas tree is the smell of the Christmas tree. You can have a scented candle or you can have an air freshener, but it's just not the same as a tree in your house. It's a kind of a weird tradition if you think about it. We go and bring a tree in our house. Anyway, whatever. But the smell, I remember it from childhood. Like, it is one of my childhood memories is having a Christmas tree in our house.
Yeah. Yeah, me is same here. And usually the funny thing is we would get a Christmas tree and have it flocked.
Yeah, I remember.
Do you remember that?
Trees.
And the tinsel.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's
Great.
what I remember. Yeah, cracks me up.
I guess a bonus, or a positive of a artificial tree is some of them have lights on it already.
Yeah, pre-installed. Yeah,
pre-installed lights. So that's kind of cool.
It just makes your job much simpler, right? Faster, simpler. It's plastic, more or less. Yeah. So that's a huge downfall. But
and then one of the negative things too is, though, because it's metal, and maybe the new ones are different, but the one that we have that we've set up. So I've had one of each of these, so I'm going over through experience, not just thinking about. The only thing I haven't done is the living tree, which we're going to do this year. The metal one, it kind of, like the smaller branches or whatever, you kind of fluff them out and make it look, it's like rebending, and they kind of are breaking. Like, we've had it for a long time. It's an older tree, but the metal little things are breaking off. So, and there's a little bit of a mess associated with it. What?
That's awesome.
Yeah, we have that part, which is minimal, just making it look fluffy.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of a mess, but you clean it up. It's not a big deal. So you kind of it's a nice tree if all you want is a nice tree that doesn't have any hassle, that you can just box up. It just kind of takes the nostalgia of going out and getting a tree, either so let's move to cut trees.
Yeah.
So cut tree, either going to a parking lot where they have them already cut, where someone has harvested them from wherever. They probably just grow them themselves in their own grove. It's specifically grown for Christmas trees. They're not necessarily going up into the forest and getting them and bringing them down. But I've done that too, where you can go to the Forest Service and buy a permit. Yeah.
And go cut your own.
And go cut your own tree.
Wow.
But there's stipulations, so it can't be so high, it can't be very tall. You buy it for a specific forest area. So if I buy one over in my house in, Tooele or whatever, I can't come over here in Utah County and cut a tree down over here. It has to be specific for that area.
That location,
because they want to, keep track.
What about species or variety of tree?
I do not believe there was a...
Just open game, or is it like...
there's restrictions you'd have to look to see, like when you go buy your tag, but that's the cheapest way to go if you don't care about time.
Yeah.
It's like $10, $15 a tag. You can go get a Christmas tree for $10 or $15, but you're cutting it down yourself. You're doing the work.
Yeah, it's like a Griswold situation.
Exactly. You can't cut anything. I think the one that I did see... So each forest is different. That's why you have to do it specific forest or whatever. I didn't see anything on species, but I'm pretty sure you would have to stick to, spruces or pine.
What about... one thing, just to throw this out there.
Sure,
what about juniper? I mean, that's... kind of an awkward, maybe looking
you probably
Christmas tree,
could.
but I tell you what, I'm thinking of scent, how that triggered your memory from your childhood.
Yeah.
Dude, juniper would be off the hook. Awesome.
It might not have to do with species. You'd have to find out. I mean, all I did was do a quick search on Google of just cut tree tag.
Yeah.
And a whole thing came up, and it was forest permit restrictions, and had all these things, and it said each forest area and where that encompassed and whatever, and you could do that for your own area and find it anywhere that has a forest area like that.
A disadvantage maybe to that, and no joke, you go to the mountains, you pull out your tree. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you experienced this with the tree that you went and got, but you could bring in maybe critters.
Yeah.
Not necessarily squirrel, but that would be an interesting one. But I mean, maybe what about boars or some kind of like...
I would think it's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a really cold time. That was probably the biggest negative. Like when we went, we cut it down when there was snow on the ground. So it was really butt freaking cold, and we had to dig down to get to where you could cut the tree. And then that was the worst part about it was freaking butt cold, and it got really dark really quickly. And so we're up there in the mountains at night digging out a tree trying to cut. This is when I was in college, so it was me and my college buddies cutting the tree down.
That's how memories are made, though. Anytime you're uncomfortable,
it's true. Through pain,
you will remember.
The
I
best
promise.
memories are through pain.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, that is a way cheap way to go. The downfall is that you do have to take care of it. You have to keep it watered. The needle drops will happen.
Just put it in a pan of water. Or
there
what?
was a time frame. Well, you have those Christmas tree little.
Oh, the screw-in stand.
Yeah, the screw-in thing,
Got it.
and it has a little water basin that you have to keep filling up because it'll just keep sucking up water.
Okay.
So that's probably a once-a-day thing that you have to water that tree. So it's kind of a pain in the butt to get in there every day to water it. But there was a time restriction on when you could harvest the trees. So you have to do it within a certain amount of time, or they won't issue the permits. And some, I looked, were sold out of their permits. So, and then there was one per household, so you can only do one tree.
Well, that's fair.
Oh, I would think so. But some people have multiple trees. You have these big mansion houses that have multiple layers, and they want a Christmas tree on every level. It's like, okay, whatever. This is the greeting tree. This is the tree that's in our bedroom or whatever. It's like stuff down, maybe like a scale, even. Something that is a dormant insect, and you could introduce it down into the valley where maybe it wasn't before.
Well, and what I'm thinking is, it's dormant up in the mountains. It's cold. you bring it into your home at 72 degrees, and it's basically like a little incubator, and it's just like, hey, we're coming out of dormancy now.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Whitefly, aphids, borers, scale, who knows? And that stuff is not going to hurt anybody. It's just going to be an additional problem, possibly. I mean, it's kind of stretching it, but
thought about that, but I guess it's probable.
Jack up your indoor plants.
The ones that they sell in the parking lots, those could be treated with insecticides.
They totally could be.
Because I'm guessing,
and I bet they are.
They have them just all together in an orchard thing. They grow them. They planted them 10 years ago, and they harvest this group every 10 years or whatever, and they probably keep them in excellent health, fertilizing them, watering them, just like they would regular trees or whatever. Crazy! I didn't even think about that. That's how they do it.
Yeah, so that's a big footprint, huh? I mean, that would be that's a.
How do we get into that action? That's why.
Okay, yeah. So moving forward.
Oh, okay. So now we have the other alternative, a living Christmas tree. So this is an eco-friendly alternative. So other than having an artificial tree, I guess if you think about, your carbon footprint and mining or whatever, then the artificial tree has metal in it, and they make plastics and whatever cost goes into that. So here with a living Christmas tree, it cuts that even down a little further. So then you don't have the waste trees every year lining the streets, just these dead Christmas trees hanging out. They smell good. They're still alive. The cost is just the same cost of same caliper of a landscape tree. You might be able to find some areas, like I didn't notice in California, they will deliver the tree to you. It's a strictly living Christmas tree service that you can search.
It's a rental, or it's a full-on, you buy it? I
didn't find the pricing. I just did a quick search, and they said they had, what the product was, what their mission statement was, and, it was to reduce life waste.
Yeah, right. That's good.
So just the cost of a landscape tree, and you could get a little short pine tree or a short little spruce for $70 in that range. But then if you get a big one, it could be up to $200, $250, just on the size of caliper, the size of, gallon bucket or whatever. So if you get a 15, 25 gallon, whatever, it's going to cost more. And just leave it in the pot that you get it in from the nursery or whatever. And then you have to water it 2 to 3 days. Every 2 to 3 days, about a quart to 2 quarts.
So not a whole lot. Not a whole lot.
No. Yeah. And you don't want to keep it in a long time, because then you're kind of dealing with those. Is it warm time? Is it cool time? So it said to keep it in about for 10 days.
So tell us how you're going to acclimate your.
So I'm gonna go down to the nursery sometime. I talked to the guy, and they were gonna try to get some in. I wasn't gonna get a huge one. I was gonna get probably into my chest high. So we're not talking 8-foot high tree. There were some that were a little bit more. I'm thinking more of where I'm going to put it in my landscape.
Sure. Yeah, you should be thinking of that.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
I was thinking about a pine because they can handle our landscapes better.
It's like a limber pine, or
a limber pine would be awesome.
Yeah.
If they had one small enough, the ones I saw there were big.
Yeah.
But a limber pine would be right up my alley. I think I'd probably. That's if I can get that. That's what I want. And then I'm going to get it from the nursery, put it in my garage, because then it's kind of like a little bit warmer than outside, cooler than inside. And then right at that 10-day marker, I'm going to bring it inside, probably around the 15th, or maybe even earlier or later, like the 20th. Get it inside, decorate it up, have it inside for 10 days. So get through the new year. Maybe take it back, put it in the garage, let it kind